Okay, meeting's being live streamed. Got it. Heading up the meeting for Facebook Live. Okay. Okay, well, let's see.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody is not going to be all.
Yeah, I believe we're live now.
Okay.
So don't say anything. Don't say anything controversial, right, Brendan?
I will try not to. Well, if you're tuning in, we are getting set for our garage series, where I'm going to take you through all the stuff that I have in my garage for fishing and how I kind of organize it. It's kind of organized chaos, but bear with us, and we'll maybe make it make sense to you, or not.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if. Ooh, yeah, we are live. Ooh, okay, we're definitely live. Okay. I don't know if anybody has joined us live yet, but my name is John Williams. I'm here with Brendan Bayard, and this is the first of a series that we're hoping to put together over a period of time, where we bring you to people's place where they keep their kayaks and let them go through their kayaks, show how they rig up, and give you tips and tricks and just basically chat. So while we're waiting for people to get organized and get live on Facebook, what I'd like to do, I guess what we'll do is just wait a few minutes. So Brendan, are you ready for the weekend?
I was really ready for it, and then the forecast of the Arctic blast came. So I'm trying to psych myself up, but I'm really just trying to get my cold weather gear ready.
Yes, I know. I could not believe that when that forecast, probably a few days ago, I was like, what the heck? And I've seen all the posts on if there's a cold front coming and 30-mile-an-hour north winds, it must be a Bayou Coast tournament going on.
We seem to have a good record with picking those kind of weekends, but people always seem to catch fish. So knock on wood, the streak will continue, and we'll manage to catch some fish and make the best of it.
Yeah, and no one gets stranded with a low tide.
Yeah, I guess with that north wind, luckily down in this parish, you have that levee that kind of runs along kind of all the launch areas. So, I mean, at worst, you can hang out in like a pumping station or in a harbor or something close to that levee and use it for protection, at least in the morning until all the water gets blown out. So,
yeah. So, did they have a pretty big crowd coming out for the tournament?
I think we're a little bit over 100.
Nice.
Maybe, I don't know. Probably going to be, some no-shows with the weather, and then I'm sure some people are just waiting to the last minute to join in. But we also have another tournament going on Friday. We're trying to kick up a kind of an IFA-like tournament, just because we missed that format with the catch, photo, and release of big trout and big red aggregate tournament. So we're going to have that as well. The weather on Friday looks pretty nice. So if you're coming down for the weekend, maybe just get down there a little bit earlier and participate in that tournament as well. Same location, same boundaries. It's just going to be on Tourney X. And I think if you look up on Facebook, it's called the National Saltwater Kayak Series.
Awesome. That's great. We definitely have a few people following us here on Facebook Live. So let's see what time. Oh, it's only 7:01. I think we can just hang tight for a few minutes before we get started. So, question: Have you tried the Hobie Pro Angler 360, or know people who have used it?
It's my favorite boat. So we'll get to it later, but if you look right here, I have a 360 setup. I have the drive, and with my cameraman, I can show you the beauty of it. You know, mine's a little bit dirty, but the good thing about these Hobies is you don't baby them. You can really just throw them in the back of your truck and then throw them in your garage and take them back out. I like to spray off my drive and put a little oil and grease and keep it lubed up a little bit just so it's not annoying on the water. But if you look up underneath here, if you want to take the camera, you can see how the drive pivots all the way around which is just a wonderful mechanical engineering feat that that everybody who kayak fish really loves. Because I mean, you can go straight sideways to a dock, cast right down parallel with it, pull off when you hook a fish, turn your knob, and just backpedal away from the fish as you're fighting, all without really doing much with a paddle or anything like that. You can, if you have an anchor system set up, just push a button. But this drive is just amazing. I mean, it changes really the amount of time you can fish in positioning yourself better than ever before.
Nice. Oh, you know what? Honestly, I didn't do my research. I didn't realize you had a Pro Angler 360 when we set this up. So that's pretty cool. I guess that was a pretty good first question. That wasn't planned, everybody. That was just a total accident.
Yeah, no, as soon as I saw it, I was elevating with thought of using one. So I, begged until, they made one available for me to use. So
I tell you what, Brendan, what we've seen at the shop is that a lot of bass fishermen have really, really gotten onto the 360. And the saltwater guys, to me, have been a little slower to get onto it. And I'm not really sure why.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I think bass fishermen as a whole will kind of pull out any stop to get an advantage. They just think a lot more tactful in their approach to fishing. I mean, you see bass fishermen that bring 20 rods on a boat just so that they can avoid changing a bait for 10 seconds or whatever to give them that advantage. I think it's just in the mindset of every advantage I can take as a fisherman, I'm going to equip myself. And I think that really plays to the bass world and the kayak world.
Right.
That's where really all the forefront of fishing innovation happens, just because the market size is so nice and big. I mean, we've seen all the Hobie BOS events sell out this year. It's incredible. It's 200 people person field with like the entry fee of $250. I mean, it's no joke. It's growing huge.
Yeah, it's unreal. I mean, when you think about the fact that maybe just a few years ago, there was hardly any bass tournaments whatsoever. And now bass tournaments seem to be like where a lot of traction's going.
Yeah, I mean, you have guys that, are basically fishing that circuit. They're going out and they're, bringing their camper or whatever, staying at a lake for a week at a time, pre-fishing or coming back, or, planning a trip across the country to have a vacation at a lake that's coming up on market, and really just approaching it like a pro. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting. Professional kayak fishermen, who'd have thought it back in 2007, right?
Yeah, I know.
I'll tell you what, since we're at 6 after, and it seems like we have a good number of people watching us live, we're going to go ahead and let's get this ball rolling. Let me do a quick intro, and then we'll let you take over and run through everything. So for everyone that's watching, thank you for coming. Really appreciate it. My name's Sean Williams. I'm the owner here at Pack and Paddle. Well, I'm not at Pack and Paddle. I'm in my garage at home. And you can see behind me, this is where I tie flies. And you see my fly rods up on the wall up there. And so since Brendan was coming live from his garage, I decided I need to come live from my garage. So this series is intended to give people an idea of how other people rig their boats. And my intention for the series is to try to get a lot of different types of fishermen, from tournament fishermen like Brendan to sight fishermen, to just a big variety of people, so you can get ideas from lots of different people. And that's the whole idea of what we're trying to do with this series. So I want to say thanks to Brendan. I want to say thank you to Hobie, who sponsors Brendan. He's their regional team member here in Louisiana. And they have at least partly been responsible for helping us to get this seminar going. So thank you. Want to mention a couple of quick events that are coming up that I want everyone to kind of bear in mind. If you are in the market for a boat or know someone who is, we have a demo day on March 19th, and it's going to be at Vermilionville. Our Hobie rep will be there. Some of the guys off the Pack and Paddle Hobie fishing team will be there. Our staff will be there. And it's a great time to come out and try all the different boats. So if you're interested in that, come out. If you know someone who might be interested in that, please tell them about it. We'd appreciate it. Also, our garage sale, which is a huge event every year, is coming up on April 2nd. And that's where people bring in used gear. We help them price it. We put it out on a Saturday. Everyone lines up, comes in, and buys the used gear. So if you want to sell gear, you want to buy gear, that's what this event is all about. You can look all this up on our website and see what it's all about. So I'm not going to delay that much more. So I'm going to introduce Brendan. Brendan is, as I mentioned, the Hobie regional team member here in Louisiana. And I've known Brendan for a long time. He's done a lot of seminars at Pack and Paddle over the years, which we've always appreciated, which usually end up with us going out to eat after, which we won't be able to do tonight, of course, because he's in Baton Rouge. I'm in Lafayette. Brendan has been kind of a force in Louisiana kayak fishing. He was fishing very early out of Hobie kayaks, as far as I know, virtually the whole time he's been kayak fishing. And Brendan has been kind of a superstar in the, he won't want me to say that, but a superstar in the Bayou Coast Kayak Fishing Club over the years, has won many events, and he's just very analytical and very smart about everything he does. So I knew he would be the right guy to do this seminar. He has a cameraman with him. Brendan, can you introduce your cameraman?
Yeah, my friend Matt Dearman is behind the camera. Matt's been in the club for probably about a year. He's been fishing, loving it, and he's had some success as well. He got second place at Paddlepalooza. Fallen Tide. Yeah. Just this last time. He's been, he's been loving it. I mean, so you never know. I mean, he's only been in the club for a year, and he was, this close to going to Hobie World. So if you're thinking about trying it, jump on in and you'll have a blast. Okay. I wanted to make one more little quick statement, and we do have a lot of people online watching this video. I hope that this is my first time doing this, and keep in mind I'm 61 years old, so I'm struggling here, but I think we're doing okay so far. But if you have questions, what I'd like you to do is just please type it into the chat function on Facebook, and I will relay this to Brendan. The way we're doing this is Brendan and I have a Zoom meeting going, and the Zoom meeting's broadcasting to Facebook Live. So there's a slight disconnect between you and Brendan, and that's me. So if you have a question, please type it in, and I'll relay it to Brendan as we go along. So I guess without further delay, Brendan, you want to go ahead and take it away? Yeah, sure. So this is the boat that I use almost all the time. Sometimes I'll use an Outback, and sometimes I'll use this Sport that's behind me. But most of the time it's this 360, just because of the incredible invention of the Hobie 360 drive. I think we showed it a little bit earlier, but basically, if you see right here, it's a regular drive. It has the kick up fins, so that if you hit an obstruction underwater, your fins kick up without hitting the mast or bending that mast. And the neat thing about the 360 is its rotation of the fins while you're pedaling. It just makes it incredible to position your boat, to pull up close to structure, to back out of a bite, to do really anything that it's just going to enable you to fish better and get a better position on the cast. It's really, I know people throw out game changer all the time. It seems like I always hear somebody saying, "Oh, this is a game changer." This is a real game changer. I mean, if you ask anybody, this is the innovation that is really like stepped up to the next level in the kayak world. It's amazing. If you have an opportunity to try one. It's mind blowing, really. I mean, it's the most mechanically awesome thing I've ever seen. I love looking at mechanical stuff, non-electrical stuff. My dad was an engineer, and this thing is just like candy. I mean, it's amazing.
Completely agree.
This is my kayak. I have it rigged up just how I would for a regular tournament day. I have the seat with the cushion here. I have little attached bags that I put on the side of my seats. This one has just kind of a rag in it to wipe my hands after I catch a trout or something. I just put it back here. There's a mesh bag. It drips through. I have my Lowrance unit here. It's got side scan and down scan on it. And I have my Noqua battery right here charging. I usually keep my batteries just charging like right here. There's a little plug so I don't forget them. I just kind of load the kayak so that when I'm loading up, I don't forget them and they're always charged. I have this screen protector on there just to keep this from getting rain or dirt or anything on there, so that whenever I get on the water to my final destination, I don't have a wet screen, because touching these screens with wet fingers kind of drives me absolutely nuts. So I try to keep this on as long as possible, especially if we're going to be in like waves and wind and stuff like we have coming up this weekend. You have one.
I have a question for you. With your fish finder, do you primarily use that in a tournament like this weekend? Or are you primarily using that as a GPS, or are you also actually using it to find fish?
I'll use it to find ledges, because if we have an event like I'm thinking we'll have, we might be kind of relegated to fishing in canals and drains and deeper holes, because a lot of the water might blow out this weekend with this kind of 30 to 50 mile an hour north wind that we might be fishing in on Saturday. Let's cross the fingers, hope we don't have 50. A depth finder really comes in handy when I'm fishing deep spots. I primarily use it in the winter when I'm fishing for trout and I'm looking for different ledges and stuff. Or if I'm fishing in the summer, like if I'm over at Big Lake and I'm fishing the ship channel, there's different ledges that you can see and target those fish like that. Fishing for bull reds in the passes is really handy. And then of course, bass fishing with structure and stuff like that.
Okay, thanks.
All over the side of the boat, I have little things tied. I have grips. I lost my nice fish grip, so I have kind of junkier ones now. I thought I had my fish grip tethered to my boat last year, and I had a nice 4.5 pound trout, and I was reviving it. And so I usually just hang it off the side of the boat, pick up my hands, and it just kind of swims with me until it revives itself. But lo and behold, I had undone my tether so that my son could take a picture, momentarily before that, and then my boat grip is now at the bottom of a undisclosed bay in Leeville with a carcass 4.5 pound trout on it.
I did that one time with a flounder, Brendan. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a tough day for me. I have my net right here. I like to use a really big, wide, arbor, wide brim net. I don't know what you want to call that. And I have this ram mount right here that you can see. It's just a kind of a quick release. It kind of holds it in place just good enough. But I like to keep this all away from anything that it might get tangled on, any loops or fish grips or rods or hooks or anything. I want that ready so I can just lean forward, grab that, pick it up. And I like this really, really, really wide, big net. you know, because the time you need the net is for the really nice fish. So when you have a trout that's this big, you don't want a net that's this big. You know, that's for meat hauling, or you want to catch the fish you've been casting all day for. I want the biggest chance to fit it in the net, so I bring the big one. And a bull red fits nicely in here. So this is kind of the net I mostly always use. It has a reinforced net that's kind of rubber dipped. It's not a rubber net, but it is coated so that it helps a little bit with keeping hooks out of it. But I probably need to replace it. It's been used pretty well. Here is my catch board. This is the aluminum Catch 32. It's really nice and well built. It's what I'll be using on the tournament Friday. I usually just try to put the fish on the bottom of the boat in case they flop up. You know, I usually will take my net and I'll position it in the boat here like this, put my fish here. If it flops, you have a good chance of it landing in your net, or at least being blocked somewhat, especially if you have a flounder or anything like that. Some of these tournaments, they don't let you have a lip gripper in the mouth. You want to do everything you can to keep that fish from flopping out of the boat. If you put this up on your knees, or if you're way up high, you're asking. It's a recipe for losing that fish. Conditions aren't perfect, it gets a little last minute struggle. I've lost plenty of fish doing that, and I learn from my mistakes as much as I can. I also have this little ram mount here with a rod holder. I'll do this. I'll put a rod here, and I'll just have it so I can, as soon as I catch a fish, I'll put my rod here. It kind of keeps it out of the way, but it does fit in here while I'm doing everything. And it's also a good place to put your rod while you're traveling to the next location. You can tie a lure without having it all in the pedals as you're pedaling. So you just kind of stick it there. You have a string in your hand, you're pedaling, and it's a great place to just, you know, put a rod for a second out of the way. I've been using that setup for almost 10 years now. With that,
troll from there?
I don't troll usually unless my rod's in my hand. Coming back here, let's kind of keep it in the middle section here. I use a stand-up paddle. This is the Bended Branches, just stand-up sup paddle. I don't find myself paddling much at all with the Hobie drive. I mean, you can paddle these things really shallow. This is really like if I'm standing up sight fishing, I like to do this instead of use the double-sided paddle. If I get into really shallow mud, it's almost like a push-pull. I'm kind of sticking it out, trying to get out of that. But I've just been using this paddle a lot over the last few years, and I really like it. And how I have my paddle set up is I use the rod holders that come with the Pro Angler, and I just flip them to the outside of the kayak. Kind of keeps more stuff out of the cockpit, less stuff to get in your way. And it doesn't take up much extra room in the back of my truck or anything. So that's a little trick you can try. These are my shoes I'll be wearing this weekend. It's kind of my cold weather version of my footwear. These are just diving boots. You can get these anywhere. They're relatively inexpensive, but they're insulated, neoprene, and they're waterproof up to the top. So if you need to launch your kayak and you need to step in the water for a little bit, these are pretty good. They're not as bulky as like a rubber boot or anything like that. They're very flexible. They're almost like socks, and they have a nice rubber bottom. So if you're looking for an inexpensive, nice shoe to use kayak fishing, give those a shot. They're just dive boots. This is my crate I have set up here. I like to throw my tackle boxes here. I'll usually keep the one tackle box that I'm using for the moment underneath my seat. but I usually keep 4 other ones back here. I'll bring usually 5 tackle boxes, and I'll get to those later as we go through all that stuff. But this is a great little size. These little boxes that Hobie makes that attach to their crate. Perfect size for a drink. Yeah, 2 tackle boxes.
So, Brendan, it's hard to kind of tell what's going on. You have an H crate in there?
Oh yeah. So I actually took one of the sides off my H crate just to fit the ice chest. So okay. If you, I don't know if you can hold it up high, you can kind of see. So it's just the traditional H crate. I just took this bar, this side off, and added these to the sides, and then put the 2 big Hobie rod holders on the back. And I usually use 5 here, so I have these 2 corners. I put one on the middle in the back, and then these. So I have 5 rods back here. If I need them out of the cockpit with the Pro Angler, I mean, you can usually just put them mostly back there. I can put them momentarily back here. This is kind of an H crate that I use between an Outback and this boat. So it's kind of set up dual purpose, but for the
I've never seen that before. That's a cool idea with the cooler. Being able to have both things in there and utilize the space on the outside of the crate. It's pretty cool. I have a quick question from Charles Miller. He wants to know what your preferred PFD is.
I like my PFDs in this closet right here. I like the old style PFD, and don't look this, because this one needs to be. I have 2 sets of PFDs back here, ones that have been popped, and this one needs a new cartridge in it. But I do have another one just like this that's tan. But this one has a really big pocket here, and it's the right size to put the cell phone in it. So I really like this PFD. It's just, you know, a Hobie PFD. I have 2 different styles of Hobie PFDs. They started getting slimmer and smaller as they got, they made them better, but it just doesn't hold the cell phone like it used to. I've seen guys that use the waist PFDs that seem like they're nice to get out of the way. I find that if you're pedaling, you're crunching up. So I try to keep anything away from this, like my stomach or anything, if I can. So I put this thing on, and I really don't even notice it. Like my kids will just go around, and I'll hop spots. You know, I'll throw the kayak in the back of the truck. I'll go to the next spot. I'll literally just leave this on all day, and I'll walk into the gas station to go get Coke. I'll have this on. Everybody probably looks at me like Marty McFly in Back to the Future or something like that. But I just leave it on. It doesn't bother me. And aside from it getting a little dirty or getting some sunscreen on it, I mean, no big deal.
Okay. So back to your crate setup there. Can you show us one more time what's going on with that cooler in the crate?
Yeah. So this is just a regular soft side cooler bag. You know, there's a million different kinds out there. I mean, they're all basically about the same in mine. I just took one side of this H crate wall off just so that I can fit that this bag in here. I use the outside storage on the H crate, and I don't really utilize this. So it essentially is a rod holder for me to keep these out away from the water. And then it's a nice place to keep this situated, these and my drinks. And it's really worked for me for the last few years. I really like that setup. Yes.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you, what that was. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is my fluorocarbon assortment. So I just keep spools on here of different size fluorocarbon. So whenever if I ever have a break off or something like that, and I need to add leader or something, it's just right here. I'll just unclip that, put it in my lap, strip off, 5 feet of it, and stick that rod in that rod holder that I showed earlier. That's right there, and I'll just tie a new uni to uni as I'm going to the next spot with a piece of this, and hopefully I don't have to do that too many times, because that's one of the slowest things as far as changing lures goes, when you have to add a leader and then a new lure. But we've all been there. We've all snagged on something or thrown into some spot where a fish is at, and you don't want to go up in there and disturb it. So sometimes you just break it off, retie, and throw it back up in there.
Gotcha. What's your anchoring strategy? I see you have a power pole. Is there also a front anchor, or do you just go with the power pole?
On this boat, I just have the power pole. With the power pole and the 360 drive, I can power pole down, and if I need to cast this direction or this direction, I can pivot off of this point with the 360 drive. So if you think of this as the fulcrum point in my 360 drive, I can literally turn it 90 degrees to the boat and then paddle myself here, so I can be casting, still pivoted it off of this back anchor pole, or pivot this way with the 360 drive. And it's a lot easier to utilize one anchor with the 360 drive. So that tandem really eliminated the need for me to have that front anchor on this boat, just because of the 360 drive.
Okay.
But I do have the drop down anchor system on this one, and I can show you that as well if people want to add that kind of anchor. I really think it's a really small, nice, inexpensive way to have a nice anchor in your kayak. And what John's talking about is this. This is just a homemade version of a weight with a pipe clamp.
That was me.
We still good?
Yeah, we're still good. I just forgot to record this whole thing. Oh my gosh. All right, go ahead, Brendan.
Okay, and so this is just a real easy to make drop down anchor. Right here, if you set up a bow line basically, and what I'll do is you just release that anchor down. You lock it in place on the front with this little clam cleat, jam cleat, and then it's a nice way to set yourself up with a little anchor. All you need is rope, a couple of guide loops, and a rope and an anchor. I learned that from the great Mike LaFleur.
Yeah.
I fished with many times back in the early days of my kayak fishing in those deep pits of LA1 for trout in the winter.
Yeah, I know we wrongly called that the shoe pick anchor, and I knew named it after you before I really knew that Mike was the one who came up with that idea.
Yeah. So we're talking about Mike on I think Catch had shared one of Chris Holmes's maybe it was an article from Louisiana Sportsman or something. We were talking about this the other day, and it was a kind of a blast from the past, thinking of all those inventions that Mike came up with. One of the early pioneers, the paddling fishing of Louisiana.
Yep, for sure.
This is always a handy thing. This is the cart. This is the collapsible cart. I like this version just because I can store the side of my front hatch. This breaks down really easy. I can put that in my front hatch if I get to a place where I need a portage, or if I need to get to a vehicle that's really far from the car. If you're going to a crowded launch like Minimal Challenge and 100 people in the parking lot, this is always great, so you don't have to drag your boat really far by yourself. These crates are awesome. I have a beach version of this with inflatable wheels to go across sand when I go offshore fishing in the Florida Panhandle. And then I have this one that I use most of the time here in Louisiana, where we have I wouldn't say hard ground, but harder ground. Here's my battery setups. This is kind of my area that I think we talked about this. I keep these batteries kind of in the crate. My kayak rests down here on the floor underneath the red boat here, when it's not up on sawhorses. And I just kind of leave those here. I don't forget them, and I always have charged batteries. Over here, I always hang up my bibs after I'm done using them, especially on a weekend like this weekend. You're going to need some heavy weather gear just to keep the splashing off of you. If you have a nice set of bibs, that's always a really great thing to have if you're looking for gifts or something like that for the fishermen in your life. A good set of all-weather gear is great. I usually don't wash these except maybe twice a year, but they do sell this nice re-waterproofing tech wash stuff that you can get. I know AFCO sells it on, there's probably a few different ones, but I really like that. I put it in the washing machine. I put all my fishing clothes together, and I kind of coat these things in waterproofness every 2 years or twice a year. So.
Yeah, there's a good product that we sell at Pack and Paddle called Revivex. I don't know if you've used it, but if you're using waterproof, breathable materials on your jackets or pants, this Revivex stuff is killer. It lasts really well, and it really enhances the breathability of your garments.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is, if you use any nice waterproof clothing, to get the stuff that refreshes it, makes all the difference. I didn't know about that stuff, and I used to use the same jacket for years on end, or I'd wash it with a hose, but I wouldn't like recoat it. And I'd go out there, and as soon as it started raining, it felt like it was just permeating right through. So good thing to know.
Quick question before you go on to your next part of your garage here. Keith Bello wants to know, have you had any issues with your power pole, and what's the pros and cons?
I haven't had many issues. Every once in a while, I have to push the button a couple of times, and I think that's really because the battery's going low. I really don't change my batteries a lot. I usually keep the lanyard on, and then if you can show them that, I have a secondary button that I mounted right here on the side. That comes in handy especially if you forget your lanyard in your car. If one of them's out of batteries, that's a nice thing to have, a double backup, if you will. Occasionally, like it's not getting a good signal, and I think maybe one time I had to go back there and just push the up button manually to get it up, and I think that was when my battery went out. But other than that, as long as you take the hose after a really muddy day, I usually like to just stick the hose right on the top of this thing and just cycle it, and just let those roller bearings go with the hose going in there, and just kind of flush out all that mud, because I think it just kind of gets tight in there, especially if it's kind of a silty, sandy mud. If you have a real dirty pole, just kind of make sure it's not, nasty, and it should work fine. I've really had hardly any problems with this one. This one is probably 5 years old, so it's been going strong.
Cool, thanks.
This is area in my garage that I keep like my offshore rods and reels. So probably half the time I do offshore is in somebody's boat. Other time it's in a kayak. I just have a lot of spinning gear because I usually use a kayak. I used to use traditional open face offshore smaller reels, but I find that in the kayak, level winding with your thumb and stuff, I would rather just use a big spinning reel and have the ease of use. I've used I wouldn't say any of this stuff that I have is super heavy gear. You're talking 5,000 series level reels or 6,000. And I mean, I've caught pretty big offshore species with these, trolling for kings, getting snapper off the bottom. You know, fish probably in the 10 to 25-pound range, no problem. And I use them for the bull red tournaments. If we're doing like one of those IFA catch, photo, and release, or like we're catching big bulls in the past, I'll bring one of those just so I can get it to the boat quicker, and so I'm not taking an exorbitant amount of time to land a fish. Or you spend 30 minutes on a fish, it's a lot harder to revive than kind of whipping its butt a little bit faster with a bigger reel, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and then sending it back out. Here, this is just like bait stuff. I don't use this that much. I'll probably bring it this weekend just because we're allowed to do it for Paddlepalooza and the weather conditions are terrible. I'll probably try to talk myself out of using it because I really hate dragging a bait bucket around during a tournament, just because it's extra weight. You got to keep putting it in the water, keeping the fish or the shrimp alive. This is a neat little trick though that one of my buddies shared with me. This is rabbit food, and so if there's no shrimp where you're at, you can usually go to like a deep canal, kind of like a marina canal or one of those neighborhood canals, or something that's kind of deep without a bunch of trash on the bottom, where you would cast net and sprinkle this rabbit food in it. And the good thing about rabbit food is it sinks down to the bottom. Give it about 20 minutes. I know people do other things like this. They might open up a can of cat food or something and sprinkle it in the water. This stuff's easy. I can just kind of throw it by the handfuls in the water, take my cast net out, usually cast net a bunch of fish or pogies or shrimp, and it's pretty easy to do, and it's worked for me. And I have two boys that like to come fishing with me, and I think they like cast netting probably almost as much as they like fishing.
For sure.
This is where I keep, this is like my just inshore rods. These are the rods I'll bring to Paddlepalooza. It gets a little tight here. We got a Suburban, so if my wife doesn't stop here, I'm in a lot of trouble. But so far, so good. I just have these excuse me, rod wraps. Take my rods out. I'll wrap them together, and I'll put them in the back of the truck, and we'll go fishing. Here's my bug sprays and my sunscreens, all kinds of other stuff. But it's my garage, and it's chaotic. This is kind of neat. This is the seat that I bring my kids when they're young. In the back of the kayak, you just kind of plug. I just have this set up. I plug these rod holders in the sides. Kind of keeps the seat in the tank well. They're facing backwards, and I'll probably take them like this until they're like 10 years old, and then once they're long enough where they can comfortably keep up with me, they'll go to the sport, and they're on their own. But so far, I've done that with both of the boys and my daughter every once in a while, and they love fishing, so life is good.
Yeah.
This is my insulated my one piece this week. So duck hunting / super cold weather fishing. Just kind of have an upside down hang up for those. Oh, I don't know if you want to come close up here. Maybe I should take the phone at this point. After this is my fishing closet, if you will. So you can see I have my PFDs stacked up here, for me and the boys. I have nets that are up on pegboards. These are, I got fly rods and little mini crappie reels in here. Small stuff. Here's a flag pole for my kayak.
Right here is kind of like where I keep my ice chests and stuff like that. This is extra baits and stuff. So like, you know, whenever you see like something on sale where you kind of stock up and you just kind of hoard it until you need it. I go through so many baits. I don't like to, you know, pay the full price. So when I see them on sale, I might buy like 10 of them, you know. Here's a wading belt. I like to wade fish in the summer. I'll take my kayak out to a place. I guess this is my Texas roots showing, but I like to, you know, park power pole down and I'll get out and wade fish. This is really fun to do. I kind of grew up doing that in Texas, and in Alabama is a nice place to do that. Just kind of big trout fishing. These little bags I have set up. This is my IFA gulp bag. So basically it's full of big jig heads and big gulps. I'll just throw that in the bag if I'm going. Speaking of gulp, whenever they're on sale, you know, just load up. This is the IFA ruler. It's the 45 inch length version. And up in this closet, I have, you know, just extra tackle boxes. I have extra line if I change out my line. This is, you know, real magic to kind of keep them smooth. Strike hold to clean all your electronics. I got my knives. This is a board that I use. I'll park the back of my truck right here in the driveway, and I'll use this giant cutting board to clean fish if I hadn't had time to clean them on the way out there. I try to clean my fish when I'm out there closer to the shore, just because, you know, disposing of the guts and all that stuff is problematic in the city. This is kind of extra. I keep tackle boxes kind of full of, you know, different types of baits like top waters or whatever. You know, I might take, you know, 3 or 4 out and make a smaller box to bring to the tournament. Here you can see as I use my baits, I'll let them dry here on the rack, just so they're not staying in the tackle box wet and rusting up. So I just kind of usually put hard baits up here, and then jigs I hang down here. I'll even hang the, you know, the cork up there. I have a bucket with paddles and extra measuring devices here. We got some gigging stuff, my beach wheels, some Hobie bait tanks, and some more anchors and all kinds of stuff. So
I love the real world action going on here with your garage. This is what all our garages look like.
If it was up to me, John, it would be a lot cleaner, but you have kids that are coming in here and they're bringing their friends and they're grabbing tackle and they're like, oh, my dad's got tackle, and they're taking some tackle and going to the neighborhood pond. And so it's really hard to keep it perfect. And then, you know, as you get older, you're like, yeah, I kind of understand my systems and my things. So I don't worry so much about keeping it perfect, but I hope you get a feel for how I have things set up. Actually, I have these are my tackle boxes for this weekend. So I have them laid out. This is I have a small tackle box that I just keep all my jig heads in. So you can see, you know, these are extra treble hooks for top waters. I got little pin weights to add into if you have like a corky or something like that and you want to make it a little heavier. All kinds of different size jigs. This is my bigger this is one of my bigger tackle boxes. I'm not going to bring this to Paddlepalooza, but I was just getting out a couple of rip baits. So I was going to jerk baits. So this is these old Shimano tackle boxes. If you can find them, they're like the best thing to keep jerk baits in. This will be on my boat with me this weekend. This is the Corky box. I have a Super Devil, regular size Devil,
lots of regular fat boys, some XL soft dines. I have my plastics. I have kind of the natural colors, the bright colors, the in-between colors. I got some shrimp imitations. I got some kind of bigger body dye dappers, in different sizes. I got some Texas style straight tails, some kind of, different baits that you might throw. Keep all that stuff in there. This is kind of the suspending bait, jerk bait box. I like these old Catch 5s. They throw really far, but they don't sink very, very deep. I got a bunch of Sabiles, and then here are some of those jerk baits that I took out of that bigger box. Here's a big glide bait. I'm probably not going to throw that weekend just because it's not really great in the wind. Some smaller, tighter, low crankbaits, and then I have 2 boxes of top waters because I really love top waters. So this is the big top water box, the big and loud, and then this is the smaller top waters. And I got a couple of soft dogs in there, especially I don't know, and some small stuff. But that's basically what I'll be bringing this weekend. And I'll probably have a rod with a plastic, a cork, a suspending bait or a jerk bait, corky, and a top water. So I have all those bases covered, but not in the fashion that a bass angler would have it covered.
So Brendan, you're going to have 5 rods on your boat?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And that's almost as important for if a rod has a problem than it is for changing baits quickly, because sometimes you go out there and you might have a nick in your line and half your line's gone on one reel, so it's really ineffective, or you might get a really bad bird nest. And when you're bait casters, it's always nice to have extra rods just in case. Sometimes.
Are you a fan of those tactical clips, or do you just like to tie straight onto the lures?
On a tournament day, I usually like to tie straight on. It gives me more peace of mind. Just having taking the extra time to do it that way. On pre-fishing days, if I want to cycle through a bunch of different baits, I might use a tactical clip. Or if I'm not fishing a tournament, But I trust the knots more than I do the tactical clips. And it's not necessarily for the strength either. It's just, I think it looks better without a tactical clip too, because, extra jewelry on the line, swivels and all that stuff, I'm not really a fan of. I just like it to be as clean and sparse as it can be.
Got it. Great. So I have one question that we had a listener ask, but I don't want to ask it till you're toward the end of what you're going to go through on the boat. So I'm gonna hold up on that until you kind of tell me when you're toward the end.
Okay, I only have a little bit left. So over here, you can see this kind of where I keep this, my T-bone to put on my truck, and then keep my extra drive up here. And this is all the boys fishing equipment down here in this corner, and this is the boys fishing rods and reels, so that we can kind of keep our stuff separate. And that's really my garage. So, oh yeah, here's the inside of my hatch right here. Got pliers ready to go in case I need to pull a lure deep out of a throat or something like that. Got my glow dip just because sometimes I like a little bit of brightness, but not too much. Gulp, I always try to keep the gulp out of the car, and it's nasty and stinky. So I always keep my corks down here. I like these little just clip-on corks. You don't have to tie it directly onto the
lure if you have, or tie it directly onto the rod. If you want to clip it on, try it for a while, you can. Extra jig heads, small voodoos. I love these things. I mean, if somebody said you have, one lure to catch a fish and then you're going to win $1 million, I might throw this thing, because I mean, you can catch, not necessarily big fish, but you'll catch a fish. That's about it. Oh, this is a little cell phone attachment that I use like when I'm doing my Tourney X tournaments, just so you can't drop your phone in the water. It's just kind of a little rubber gasket. You put your phone on, you're taking pictures, your hands are all slimy, you drop your phone, no big deal. Nobody wants to lose a phone these days because they're the most expensive thing you got with you. That's my garage.
Nice. Good job, Brendan. Thank you. That was great. We did have one question, which I don't think we're going to tackle tonight, but Mark Cassie Baudouin asked, where is the best place to fish from a kayak?
Ooh, I guess that would depend on the time of year and if it's in Louisiana or not. Probably, better places to fish than I can even imagine. But if I was going to,
I would say my answer to that is, let's do another seminar pretty soon on where to go fishing, Brendan.
Yeah, that sounds great.
You can be on your laptop and you can have your maps out, and we can show people lots of different places to catch different kinds of fish. I guess my answer to that would be anywhere there's water, because there's so many fish to catch in Louisiana. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and now that people are getting more interested in bass and learning more stuff about bass fishing, it's just exciting to just kind of get out and just explore new waters. I still enjoy, probably one of my favorite things is going to a body of water I haven't been before, and new fish there. It's great.
Yeah, I love that. I really like spending time during the week looking at Google Maps and trying to strategize about what might work in an area that I haven't been to. And then if I can go out and make it work, it's really rewarding. I really like that.
Certainly.
Anything that you want to say to wrap up, or if not, I'll wrap it up.
No,
okay.
Just I hope to see everybody this weekend, even though the weather's bad. I think we're still going to have a good time out at the Bayou Coast tournaments and the other saltwater catch, reel, and release tournament on Friday. If you haven't heard about that one, it's the National Salt Kayak Series, but that one's going to be on Friday, a CPR event. The weather looks good on Friday before falling tide, or paddle pools. I keep switching. I switched this like 5 times tonight. It's got me thrown off that we're going down Highway 23. We've never been down Highway 23 for Paddlepalooza, for the record. So I'm really curious as to the kind of fish that show up this time of year. The river conditions have been pretty good for a while. We have some bad weather coming in. I'm curious as to the quality of fish. I always am impressed by the catches that are made at fall and tide, and I'm curious if they're going to be as equally as impressive in the spring down there.
Well, one thing for sure, you're going to have a fall and tide at Paddlepalooza.
Yes,
without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
All right. Well, we're right at an hour. So, man, it's like you're a polished professional. I mean, I don't know what to say, but hey. And I want to thank you for the amount of time you took to put this together and get your garage presentable for us, and showing us around and showing us kind of how your fishing world works at home. It's pretty cool. I appreciate it. And
it was a good excuse to clean up the garage. I know my wife's happier, so it was great.
Awesome. And I'd like to thank Hobie for sponsoring you for so that we could put all this together, and Cully and Esther, who are our reps, and Grant, who's our new rep, which we're going to meet at our demo that's coming up, and the final commercial demo March 19th, Saturday. It's a pretty cool place in Vermilionville. If you haven't been there for a demo, it's pretty cool. So come out there, and I'll be there. Our staff will be there. Grant from Hobie will be there, and a number of our team guys will be there. So we'll be looking forward to meeting you if you want to come out and try out some boats. Oh, we're going to have a Outback out there that we've rigged up with the Torpedo motor. And we were out in the pond taking some videos the other day, and this thing's pretty fun. So we're going to have a couple of charged up batteries. And if you want to check out an Outback with the motor on it, you're going to be able to do that at our demo. Again, on Saturday, the 2nd of April is our garage sale. So keep that in mind. Check it out on our website. So I'm going to let you get back to your wife and your kids. And we appreciate you. And we appreciate everybody who's been online and watching this event. We've had a good crowd out here for our first time. We really appreciate y'all coming. And thank y'all. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, Brendan.
Thank you, John. Take care.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.